Hospitality is more than just welcoming guests into your house or cooking a meal for someone. Hospitality really is a form of spiritual practice that deepens our connection with others as well as with ourselves. I'm Dr. Alan Johnson, and on this channel I talk about the mind, well-being, productivity, and change for thinkers, makers, and everyone in between. There's a real connection between the nature of hospitality and spiritual growth. And to begin looking at this, let's look a little bit about where these words come from. So the word hospitality comes from the Latin word hospice, which means guest or stranger. And it implies now in contemporary English a sense of welcoming, open interaction. We might contrast this with a different Latin word, hostis, which originally meant stranger or enemy, but we now have recorded for us in contemporary English as hostility. So our language encodes two different responses to strangers and new people, one in which we welcome them in as guests, and another in which we push them away as something that is fearful. But hospitality involves welcoming others, including, perhaps most especially, those who might feel unfamiliar or challenging to us. It's one thing to be hospitable toward a family member or loved one, but it's a very different thing to be hospitable toward someone that you might find it initially difficult to get along with. This sense of a growing of openness into hospitality and the different forms of hospitality that we express is a really, really important part of our own personal growth, and is something that we, curiously, seem to be able to develop through our meditation practice. Because just as we invite others in through hospitality, meditation invites us to welcome in all the thoughts and feelings and emotions, even the uncomfortable ones, rather than pushing them away. Because the practice of mindfulness is not about resisting, refusing, or turning away what the world brings to us, but about accepting and inviting in all of the curious experiences and challenges of our inner world with a sense of hospitality. Through our practice of meditation, we begin to create more space within ourselves. Space to welcome in not merely the thoughts, emotions, and sensations that arise within us, but also space to invite in that content of the other, the space to invite in the guest. Our meditation practice mirrors the act of hospitality, where we are opening our hearts and opening our minds to whatever might arise. Just as we practice hospitality with others, we can, through our meditation practice, learn to practice hospitality with ourselves, inviting those emotions, those thoughts, and those sensations in. Before we return to thinking about hospitality toward others, let's spend just a little bit of time thinking more about this hospitality toward our own inner world. Because we know that some challenging thoughts and emotions arise within us throughout the day. What do we often do? We often barricade the door, we push it out, we refuse it, we say no, no, no. Or we invite that unwelcome thought or emotion in, and then we make it sit with us, and we hold on to it, and we never let it go. Now, this isn't how we would treat a guest, is it? We wouldn't lock a guest out and not invite them in, but also likewise, we wouldn't bring a guest into our home and then never let them leave. So why do we do this for emotions? What do we do with guests? Well, we welcome them in, we greet them upon their arrival, we express hospitality toward them, but then we allow them to leave in their own time. And that's what our meditation practice helps us to do with the challenging and difficult emotions that we might encounter. So we can imagine that our aware consciousness is like our home, and the front door is open, inviting thoughts, emotions, and sensations in, but the front door remains open to allow them to flow outward. So even though our meditation practice is something that is independent and solitary, it's something that teaches us how we can develop a greater sense of openness and hospitality toward the others around us. Because as we continue to allow space for our own inner world to unfold, we create more space for others around us, and we create the opportunities for our own emotional and spiritual growth through engaging with the other, through inviting in the stranger, and for finding ways to turn what might have previously been hostility into something that we can refer to proudly as hospitality. If you found this video helpful today, I hope that you will like it and perhaps share with others that you might think would benefit from it as well. I want you just to remember that as guests come and go, so do our emotions. And through meditation, we learn how to be more hospitable to our emotions. And through those meditations, we learn also how to be more hospitable to those around us as well.